Okay. Welcome, literal earworms, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Review from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight, we are buried alive. Buried alive. Buried alive. With our retro review of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Now, this is part of our series this month of summer movies that had no right being as good as they are. I explained last week during our Deep Blue Sea what I meant by that, but let me be more clear. If you were alive in the summer of 1982, and I was a 10-year-old in the summer of 1982, you might have dragged your dad. All right, whippersnapper. You might have nagged your father to take you to see Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It's rated G. There's no problem there.
Wait, 82?
No. When I was, because I was 10 in 79 when Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out, I dragged my dad to it. It's rated G. We were dumb. We don't look at. They didn't post how long movies were at that point, so we just kind of went. So we did that. And I fairly certain my dad fell asleep. I was bored to tears because literal 10-minute scenes of watching them like fly around a ship. So when Star Trek II came out, I feel like my expectations were so low. And a lot of people's expectations were so low that watching Star Trek II was like a revelation. It's like, crap, this is good.
Yeah, and let's face it, the studio's expectations were extremely low as well, considering they gave $44 million to Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and they gave $12 million to Star Trek II.
It is amazing. So there's a whole bunch of this. Now, I may have talked about this before, but there's a show that I'm watching currently. It's on the CW of all places, okay. Which is 1982, the greatest geek year ever, and it is quite interesting because they did cover Star Trek II, and they interviewed all the surviving people of Star Trek II, and it's first off because they let the TV division handle one. Like Paramount.
Hold on. Sorry, you were getting kind of choppy right there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, the television division of Paramount was put in charge of this, so they wouldn't dump in what was at the time made money.
You're still being kind of iffy.
That's weird. Okay, I'm showing a decent signal here, so I'm not sure what is going on. So why don't you talk? Why don't you tell everyone what you've learned about this?
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah. So basically, as Andy was saying, motion picture, it made money. They were expecting it to make a whole lot more money. So they were like, you know what? Let's take the Star Trek away from the motion picture department, give it to the TV department, slash the budget, and maybe we'll make something. And I mean, honestly, it does look like, because this movie looks like the TV show. The effects are not as elaborate and ooh, look at what we can do about this motion.
Some would say operatic, because I always felt like the special effects in the motion picture are operatic. These are very straightforward, no frill special effects.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the crystalline entity from that motion picture. That is full on, like, big huge model thing, and this is nothing like that in this movie. It looks a lot like they just had like a bigger budget for their TV episode.
Yeah,
but I think that was a blessing in disguise, because they were able to spend a lot more time with the characters that we knew and loved from the TV series, rather than, ooh, look at what we can do with effects.
Right. Well, it also wasn't a jumping off point too. The issue with the motion picture was it was supposed to be a jumping off point for a
Phase two.
new set of characters.
Yeah.
And then they were like, halfway through filming, it was just like, nah. How much have we sunk into this so far? 23 million. Oh, damn it. All right, fine.
Keep going, whatever.
Yeah. This movie works just on a lot of different ways. First of all, what works about it, and I've always said this, is that there's a rare amount of the fans of something that will make something work. Now, I know it's a controversial statement. It's my hot take, but Rian Johnson was a fan of Star Wars, and he wrote a Star Wars movie that I love because it bent around with the established story. Nicholas Meyer, on the other hand, when coming to Star Trek, was not a fan.
Nope.
At all. He was like he understood, did his homework. And he directed something that really felt like it was made for all audiences as a great introduction to people, especially people my age that just kind of like passively watch the TV show.
Yeah, he actually went back and rewatched every single episode of the series, and for some reason, Space Seed, the episode Space Seed, he was like, man, that Khan guy, he's like the only guy, he's the only villain in all of Star Trek, the original series, that like, who came really, really close to really beating Kirk.
Yeah, exactly. And keeping with the comparison of Rian Johnson and Nicholas Meyer, I mean, he created a movie, and he has uncredited rewrites on this movie. It is not credited to him as the screenwriter, but showing that this is all Kirk's fault. Kirk, not great on the follow-up, really, on a lot of things. Not great follow-up of being a dad, or
well, I mean, a literal follow-up. He was supposed to follow up with Khan and make sure that he was okay, but not 15 years later. Yep. I forgot you're still alive.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody registered that there was an anomaly where SETI Alpha 6 crashed, essentially just knocked SETI Alpha 5 out of its orbit.
Right. It's like SETI Alpha 5. I remember that. I'll remember.
Yeah, whatever. I'm sure it's something. Hey, sweet cheeks. Gather me up some of that Romulan ale.
It's illegal, by the way.
Yeah, I know exactly. My bones. It's interesting too. I kind of feel like in certain areas they gave most of the original cast less to do, with the exception of Kirk and Spock. Obviously, they get a lot of stuff. They gave Chekhov quite a lot of screen time.
Yeah, in the same way that they gave Hawkeye a lot of screen time in the original Avengers.
Right. it almost the exact same way. Scotty gets to actually emote a little bit, which was interesting, especially when he's carrying the nearly dead body of Preston.
And by the way, I went on to Amazon and I bought Star Trek 2, 3, and 4 because they're only like $5 for the HD versions. And I actually bought the Star Trek 2 director's cut.
Ooh, okay.
It's about 3 to 4 minutes longer, and it actually explains that Preston is Scotty's nephew.
That makes a lot of sense because he really took to him.
Yeah.
Like Bones does very little. Uhura does not a lot. Sulu, not a lot.
Yeah, no.
It is the Kirk show. Even Spock, for the most part, doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, he's got the most significant character arc in the entire movie, but that's not till the end. I mean,
I would actually say that Kirk has a bigger character arc.
He's got a huge character arc. I still think that when you kill somebody, that's especially a beloved character like Spock.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. I mean, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the. There
was Starlog magazine, and that apparently had dropped some hints that like, oh, Spock could be dying, and so Myers was like, well, we got to kind of waylay that somehow. So he had that death scene at the beginning. with the Kobayashi Maru. It's like,
Yeah.
and all those like nerds that read all the Star Wars, like, oh, it was just that. Oh, okay, whatever. And then so when the finale hits, like, oh,
We were fooled. Damn you, Starlog. There's nothing worse than an adult nerd in 1982. Yeah, Kirk. I mean, what I like about Kirk's arc, first of all, William Shatner will never be considered to be a great actor. He does some okay stuff in here.
I think he does some of his best acting in this movie, though.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, compared to, just listening to him be frustrated with Khan, that whole Khan thing, just the look on his face as he's shaking with anger.
Yeah,
I felt works a lot better than in the next movie, where it's like, Klingon bastards killed my son,
Yeah,
So
apparently, Nicholas Meyer, his trick to directing Shatner was lots and lots of takes. Because the first few takes, Shatner was going full Shatner, and then the next few takes, he was even bigger Shatner. Then the next few takes, he was like just tired. He was like, that's where you get the real Shatner.
Just let him wear himself down; he'll be fine. But yeah, it's interesting because it is Kirk having to clean up his mistakes.
Yeah,
in a lot of different ways, and especially the whole theme of him getting older, of he needing to get out there and do something.
I love
because otherwise he was going to just become part of that antique collection.
Yeah. I love it when McCoy gives him the glasses. He's like, "Gee, thanks." But then throughout the movie, you're like, "Damn it, put him on."
Yeah,
because he actually needs them.
Yeah, he does. I mean, they're readers, so it's not like you could get into the whole prescription thing, but they're just readers. I have a pair, which is weird because I wear glasses also with a progressive lens. Yeah. Whatever. But I think overall, it's great in that this is one of the few Star Trek movies where character really counts. It's memorable. Khan, driven. This is probably the best thing I've ever seen Ricardo Montalban in.
I mean, Ricardo Montalban, he is a fantastic actor. I mean, the second he's on screen, you're like, he is commanding this scene.
Exactly. And the beauty is that, and they gave him some corny ass dialogue.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
He's going full on Captain Ahab.
Oh yeah. Well, not only that, but just talking about his superior intellect. And but I mean, they gave him all this corny ass shit, but he's still menacing.
Yeah. And
the whole, you could tell how driven he is, and that great scene, that cat and mouse scene in the nebula is just, it's shot beautifully. James Horner's score really works.
Score.
There was a point when I loved James Horner's stuff. I really did, until he discovered the penny whistle, and it's like, oh God damn it.
I don't like some of his later stuff, but for the majority of the stuff that I've heard James Horner do, I love so much.
Yeah, I love this. I love Aliens. I love The Rocketeer. I mean,
and dude, do not get me started on Field of Dreams.
That's I forgot he had done that one. I couldn't remember which Horner did that one. Yeah. But it's just the whole thing, and the beauty is too, Kirk and Khan don't share 1 second of screen time together.
Yeah, apparently Montalban wanted to come back so badly, he actually took a pay cut. He actually reduced his fee just to come back for this role. But he's mentioned that his greatest regret was he never had a single scene together with Shatner.
Yeah, exactly. I did hear an interview with him, though, how he explained the whole bit about Chekhov, Chekhov, not forgetting Chekhov's face, because Walter Koenig wasn't a cast member in Space Seed. So he had said that, he's probably, in the bathroom somewhere. He hasn't made it to the bridge yet. So he's in the bathroom somewhere, and he bumps in to younger Khan, and he looks like, I never forget your face, and then he just leaves.
Yeah,
it was all done off screen.
And you know what? I bet you Walter Koenig is like saw it in the script. Is like, I wasn't in that episode. I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell anybody because I don't want to give away any screen time.
Not only that, too. I mean, this is honestly. I mean, I haven't watched all of the original TV show, but Chekhov has, to this point, always been a disposable character. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, he was the only cast member not brought back for the animated series.
That's true. Yeah, didn't they replace him with like various like aliens and stuff?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I guess apparently they only had the budget to hire everyone else, but Chekhov was like, they were like, yeah, we don't need Chekhov. We can get
Yeah. And even the casting of Paul Winfield.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great, especially because Paul Winfield's a great actor to begin with, and getting that caliber of it, especially when he's trying to fight the bug, but he's still like holding Kirk at gunpoint, and just watching that struggle as he's trying to, as he turns the phaser on himself. I thought Chekhov's face was a Ford exclusive.
I do love like when after they find like Chekhov and Terrell.
Yeah.
And they're just like, he tortured them. He laughed as it's like just a weird face, like they know something's not. Why are they still hanging around with them?
Right, exactly. Now the new characters, because obviously they can't not have new characters. Star Trek doesn't have a great, especially with this original cast, they don't have a great track record trying to introduce new characters that are going to hang around for a bit. I think about First Contact and how they had Neil McDonough, who was going to be a permanent part of that crew, and then halfway through filming, Frakes is just like, "Let's kill him, just turn him into a Borg, it's fine." But they do this a lot. They did it in the first movie.
Yeah.
With was it Decker?
Yeah, Decker and Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, yep. With this one, they try to introduce Savick and David.
Right. Both of which play a fairly significant role of the next episode.
The characters came back, and I'll talk about that in a second. They kill off David in part 3. Savick is a different actress because do you know the story behind why Kirstie Alley only made it through the one movie?
I know. I probably heard it somewhere, but
just prior to the release of Wrath of Khan, it was discovered that she had done a spread for Penthouse.
Yes.
And Roddenberry is like, nope.
Yeah. Of course, Roddenberry was also like, well, I think for Wrath of Khan and for Star Trek 2, we should have them go back in time and save JFK.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like Roddenberry is just like, he's pointing the finger out there while he's balls deep in someone who is not his wife. So it's like, okay, let's take that high horse.
Yeah. You want to know another bit of high horse from Roddenberry? Bless Roddenberry, he made Star Trek. That's fantastic, but he wasn't great at writing it, and apparently he took major offense to the fact that Kirk killed the SETI eel after it came out of Chekhov. He's like, "Oh, what? Kirk just like looks at disgust and like shoots it? No, he should study it." It's like, it just came out of one of his closest friends, and it made him do horrible things.
Yeah.
No, you're going to destroy it.
Yeah. Just like we're going to bomb the shit out of City Alpha 5 when we're done with this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that it was under more capable hands. I'm actually pulling up the all right, so the credited writers for this. All right, Roddenberry is given a credit for based on Star Trek.
Yeah, he was an executive.
Jack B. Sowards and Harvey Bennett and Nicholas Meyer and Samuel Peoples.
Yeah,
all have a writing credit.
Yeah, Harv Bennett. Harv Bennett was like, he was apparently the one that really kind of turned the movies around and made them, up until 5 at least. Anyway, made 3, 4, and 5, 2, 4, and
Yeah.
2, 3, and 4. The amazing movies that they are.
He's also the producer for those movies too.
Yeah.
And it really is interesting seeing all these different voices that we're able to get in there and craft it in such a way. The weird thing about those movies too, when you think about it, up to 6, and I know this was cheapness on Paramount's part, they never changed their outfits. Those
right.
Those maroon snap collar uniforms were what they kept throughout the entire thing.
You're right.
And quite honestly, I think the only time they ever got out of them was in 4, when they had to dress in like normal street clothes and remember where they were parked.
Yeah, because otherwise they looked like a cadet review. You know, I feel about Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 4 a lot how I feel about like The Dark Knight and Iron Man. Both released the same year there, and I think Dark Knight is a much better movie than Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather watch Iron Man any day.
Yeah.
I think Star Trek 2 is a much better movie than Star Trek 4. I'd rather watch Star Trek 4.
That's understandable. I kind of feel this way. I feel like the discourse on this and Star Trek 4 is more the Raiders of the Lost Ark versus The Last Crusade.
That's fair.
Either one can be your favorite, and there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that completely.
I like this one because I you know me, I like them dark. I like the score to this one's a little better. I felt like the score to Star Trek 4 kind of ebbs into Night Court bass and saxophone territory every once in a while.
Especially when they're walking through streets of San Francisco and they got do.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, I really enjoyed. I enjoy this movie a lot because, first of all, eminently rewatchable. And considering that the PlayStation 3 that I used to watch Blu-rays in my downstairs dojo here did not want to play it. I'm like, I can still practically recite this movie from memory, so I think I'm okay with the pre-watch. But there's just a lot about this. I do like that Spock does step back from a lot of this until he has to step up and save the crew.
I mean, just like take that little quiet scene with him and Spock, him and Kirk near the beginning. It's like, you know, like you think that you taking the ship is going to bruise my ego. I'm a Vulcan. I got no ego to bruise. Like,
yes, exactly.
You never should have stepped down from being a captain. That's where you were supposed to be.
Yeah, and I like that a lot because it makes him. It shows that Kirk has regrets.
Yeah,
and that he, again, not great on the follow through.
Yeah.
And I just truly love this movie. What I also love about this movie too, it's such a 1982 movie, and I'm not talking about much other than the fact that it came out in the summer of '82, which in my opinion is one of the 3 greatest movie summers of all time of the '80s, at least of the '80s.
Yeah, for me, I prefer '84. I think.
Yep.
But '82 is not a bad way to go.
'82 is a better geek summer than '84. Yeah. '84's got a lot of great movies in it, and then '89. But and oddly, no, a Star Trek movie wasn't released in '84.
I've also got a weak spot for '86.
Whoa, no, there was a Star Trek movie in '84, and it was Star Trek 3. I'm an idiot. And Star Trek 5 was released in '89.
Yeah, but Star Trek 5 was the bad one.
Exactly. But it was still a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
It's like now we're looking at, it's a movie, it's 1989. Indiana Jones and Batman are on the big screen.
Yeah,
and 2023. It's actually 2008. Batman and Indiana Jones are on the big screen. It's 2023. Batman and Indiana Jones are on the big screen.
And
thank you, Dr. Manhattan.
In '86 was also Star Trek 4.
Yeah. But where's I going with this? Oh yeah, it's just such an '82 type of movie. Like every single one of Khan's disciples, they all look like Mark Singer. They really all look like the Beastmaster. Seriously, they all have like the Mark Singer Beastmaster hair.
especially is that guy supposed to be his son? Or
No, he didn't have a son. He had a wife that was that crew member that went with
yeah,
him, but she was killed by the eel.
uh, and that was only 15 years. So yeah, he was older than 15. So
Right. No, but they were all. I mean, they were all his cast-offs, and it's been forever since I've seen Space Seed, so I don't remember if they actually showed any of his cast-offs or no, they did. I remember that they did show some of his cast-offs. They didn't look anything like that, but I guess after 15 years and then having to live like a savage. But yeah, no, seriously, they all look like Mark Singer from the Beastmaster, and if they didn't like Mark Singer from the Beastmaster, they all look like Tanya Roberts from the Beastmaster. So they all had like that just that bleach blonde shag look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Very 80s.
Montalban though, he was really, really good looking in that one though.
He God, most macho.
Yeah, muy macho. Muy macho.
And I'm sure for him too, it was probably a delightful break than having to like hang out in Hawaii in a tuxedo. Oh, thank God, I get to stretch. He's fantastic. He's just so good in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all I really have to say. I mean, do you have any other thoughts on Wrath of Khan?
It traumatized me when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. Now watching the eels going, it's like, oh, those are fake ears. Those are really big.
Those are not only fake ears. That thing is being pulled by a thread.
Yeah, but yeah, for like a 4-year-old that went out, or 5-year-old, whatever I was when I first saw this one, you can see why I preferred 4.
4, yeah. 4 amps the comedy up. There's not a whole lot of comedy in this, and if it is, it's kind of like blink if you miss it type of humor.
Yeah. There's some humorous lines, especially when because I think this movie, above all else, exemplifies the trio of McCoy, Kirk, and Spock.
Right.
Some of their scenes together was absolutely fantastic.
Well, not only that, but there's that great bit too when he's got that ruse that he set up for that he's just kind of revealing to everybody.
Oh yeah, and I actually remember knowing that he was doing that. Watching it again, I was like, he keeps looking at his watch.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and that's when you get the devil may care Spock. It's also the whole thing when he discusses how he beat the Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah.
Cheated.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I love that they did that in Abrams' 09 Star Trek.
And I also love the fact that, because when he's talking about when he beat the Kobayashi Maru, he's just chewing on that apple. What do you have Chris Pine doing when he's on the Kobayashi Maru?
Eating an apple. Perfect. Fans. Sometimes the fans stuff works. Yeah.
One more thing to say about this movie. Very first use of CGI created by a little known company called Pixar.
Oh,
when they were showing the Genesis effect, yeah.
Interesting.
That effect, that was the very first use of CGI on a big screen movie, and it was the very first kind of work done by Pixar.
Interesting. Because the same year, they actually did some CGI work for Tron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was more extensive than that, and I don't know which got done first. I know that Tron had a very tight production schedule, but I think Wrath of Khan did as well.
Yeah, Wrath of Khan was June 4th. I think Tron was like November.
No, Tron was the summer movie. I think it might have been July.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, cause I remember that's when I bugged my parents to take me to see, and I literally watched it as a teenager.
Yeah, Tron was July 9th. Wrath of Khan was June 4th. So
okay, month's difference. So, but I mean, I love this movie. It's one of, if not my favorite Star Trek movie.
And you know what? We just for the sake of mentioning it, Star Trek 3, not as bad as the other odd Star Trek movies, and it's a solid link between 2 and 4. So
it serves its purpose. It's a bridge.
Yeah.
It's a bridge. And the series that I bought, I think you mentioned buying this as well. It's called the Captain's Collection.
Well, I've got
Or the
individual-
Genesis Collection, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I've got the individual Blu-rays, but when I went on Amazon and bought them, like I think like $5 for the HD 4K versions on Amazon, so
Nice.
digital version, so very, very gettable.
Are they showing up on your Vudu now? Because I'm going to be a little pissed at myself if I didn't know that earlier.
Well, no, I bought them. I bought them all yesterday.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. Well, eventually we'll have to cover Star Trek 4 then.
Yeah, renting them was $4. Buying them was $5. I'm like, I'm just going to buy them.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
so
especially these three movies. These are easily the three best Star Trek movies, other than maybe First Contact, and 2009.
Yeah, and hell, I actually like Into Darkness.
I do as well.
Yeah,
I have. It's not perfect, but I have a lot of fun with it.
Right, exactly. I feel like there's a lot of fan issues with it, but other than that, that's our thoughts on Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. No. So anyway,
I'm gonna burn you in effigy for that one.
So anyway, that's a wrap on our summer movies that were way better than they had any right to be. Next month, new series, but this time we are taking the opposite tack. Movies that maybe somewhere could have been good, but are just absolutely dreadful. I have some guests lined up for this. Oh, it is a rogues gallery.
It's going to be August.
Oh yes, it's August, and we've got some doozies planned for you. But we want to know, what are your thoughts on Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan? Leave a polite comment below and let us know your thoughts on that movie. If you're new to the channel and you just saw, hey, Star Trek, hi, welcome. We do this every week, so make sure that you subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up as well. It helps us in the algorithm. Mike and I also host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. So that's iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We are there. Rest in peace, Stitcher. You can also get our podcast audio feed here on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on the socials. We are on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. We are on 10, the app formerly known as Twitter.
That was just X.
Why would it be X? X is stupid. If this is supposed to be used in the future for financial things, why wouldn't it be a number? It's 10, Mike. Anybody who thinks it's just an X, anybody thought that an X is a great idea, is not a genius. So it's 10, app formerly known as Twitter. You can get us there, Blue Sky, and Threads at Geek Salad Radio. So let us know your thoughts. If you want to interact with us, we're always happy. Always a big fan of our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're doing the live stream, if you're not, hey, thanks for watching anyway. And until next, also, I forgot to plug the latest episode. We just released our latest episode this past weekend. It is our take on what would happen if beloved movies did not exist. Did we get the assignment or did we miss the assignment?
Oh, I got the assignment.
I got the assignment. Fine. I'll talk about that offline. So anyway, you can check out that episode as well as all of our other episodes. And until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, there we go.